Welcome to Rules of Villainy, episode 38, where three new trading card game players quest and challenge their way to the competitive top tables and discuss their opinions on Disney Lorcana. We'll be talking more about the latest news, answering your questions, and going over the newest developments in the metagame. I'm not Villain Vince, but I am the mayor of Lorcana, Brad, joined as always by Villain Andy and the real Kirsten, not this imposter we had a couple weeks ago. How are you guys?
Good.
Yeah.
Not good. I don't know what the heck I'm playing.
Oh, I don't think any of us do. Andy might have the best idea here. I know that
I
don't.
did. I thought I had a route, and then I just got crushed the last.
Every time I decide on it, every time I decide on one, I'm like, oh, something shiny, and I go to something else. But I just don't put enough reps in on anything to be like, this is my deck now. So I'm kind of gravitating back toward Blurple. But when I do that, I want to completely revamp it now because I played Blurple for so long. I'm like, oh, this is just the same deck that I played before. Maybe play Bell, maybe don't. But I want to play with the dual ink cards, so I'm trying to make those work. I just haven't got any reps in it with it. What about you, Andy? What are you testing?
Well, I've been testing the Sapphire Steel. That's what Kirsten's talking about. I won both our best of threes in Deck Test Tuesday. It feels really strong, but kind of feels like, I've said this before, it feels like the Diablo deck from before. It feels kind of high rolly, and I don't know. The more I test it, the more I'm kind of like, I wish I had something a little more consistent. So we'll talk about it later in the episode, I know, but the meta is developing. There are a few other contenders out there. One that may arguably even be better than the Sapphire Steel. So I'll have to.
I don't know how consistent you can get with just doing turn one Bell 6 games in a row.
Yeah.
Literally 6 games in a row. Not a single game did you not end up finding it. Sure, maybe you had to top deck for it. Sure, maybe you didn't, get it in your starting hand. But oh my Lord.
You're just tired of seeing her.
I was over it. I was over
it. Either last week or the week before, Andy did all that hyper geometric math on the air. So that he's got that calculating every time when he's trying to get that bell. He knows how to get it. It's inevitable.
It's called alter everything for it.
It's just like Bucky.
Once and got it. I think I threw back 7 once and got it.
Sure.
And then I don't know if that was the same hand that there was one of the games where I played the popsicle and didn't have it and got it off the top of the popsicle, and I was like, better lucky than good.
You literally were like, better lucky than good as you drew it.
Yep.
I don't know.
That's all.
I don't know what game it was, but you just had the perfect starting combo against everything that I had at the beginning. I was just like, nope, I'm done. I'm over this.
What were you playing, Kirsten?
The Amber Steel.
Amber Steel, sure.
I think we'll need to test a little more too, because I thought going faster was the answer before, and she changed her deck up a little bit, and we tried to make it go a little bit faster. This time you even added in the Lilos as well. But
I don't think I saw the Lilos a single dang game.
Yeah, that is true, because we would have seen how shiny they were. But yeah, I don't know. I think we'll get into it more, but there's still hope for Amber Steel for sure.
Sure.
Before we move on to Underworld news, I have to ask, what's with the tux? Who do you think you are? JDZ? Quest?
Oh yeah, I caught the bug. It's been going around like the tuxedo virus. So be careful. Brad caught it a couple weeks ago after watching JDZ on a stream. I happened to watch the DKP game today, and DKP and Ed, right? And unfortunately, I also caught it as well, and had to break out the suit, the tuxedo here, but the hat stays.
The hat stays always. Obviously. I don't know who you are without a hat. Anytime you take off your hat, I'm like, I don't know this guy. But
it's funny because for a while he didn't have the hat; it just was the long hair.
That's true.
Hair.
There was an era
wearing the hat
where he had the whole Jon Snow look, hair pulled back and everything. Yeah, I remember that. You're right. But now it's been so long with the hat that it's
It's gonna.
It's a personality
It's
now.
getting to the point where he needs to cut his hair
We're gonna cut it
again.
again. It gets cut whenever it's too warm out. So
It's getting there. That
Yeah.
Midwest weather starting to come around.
Oh, don't worry, it'll snow right after in like
Yeah.
2 days.
No more snow. I'm
Yeah.
done with that for the next 8 months.
yes,
Hopefully.
please.
Yeah. All right. Well, moving on to Underworld news. We got quite a bit in here. Maybe not quite a bit. More stuff regarding our podcast, but a few things that we do want to talk about regarding Disney Lorcana. We do finally have, as expected, the set championship dates are for the month of May. Are you guys excited for that?
Absolutely. Super stoked.
Yeah.
Ready to go.
Yeah, I'm working on getting it scheduled for game night where I run the league. I know Grapes already has their dates scheduled or tentatively planned. But yeah, it's a tough month with Mother's Day and everything. We usually have ours on a Sunday, and so that weekend is completely out. But
Yeah.
the cards look pretty good. I'm really excited to try to get them. I got my Mecha was Scar last set, so that is. I'm happy with all of that. Anything that I win this time around, whether it be participation or whatever, I think I've made it a promise to myself and now to you guys that it's going to be donations for our future second chance events and such to give back to the community for everything that people have. I mean, I got a Scar mat given to me that, brought me to tears because I was not expecting something like that. So I'm hoping that I can return the favor by giving that back to somebody who desperately wants. Big Hero 6 fans, big Hero 6 fans. I missed a big in
Yeah.
there.
I'm excited. I like Big Hero 6. I like Hero. I think the art's really cool.
Yeah.
It's gonna be even harder to get a mat, but maybe I could do it. Probably not.
Hey,
but
you're not first to last.
wishful thinking. It's fine.
Are you the only one of us that legitimately won a championship or not? Well, no, I did too. Sorry. I'm so sorry, Andy. I completely blanked, but
Legitimately won.
I'm
won
thinking
one.
of a champion
Oh,
match.
you mean without tying or drawing?
Yeah,
you mean?
making the draw. So I didn't. You know what? I take it back. I didn't. I got to the top two and we just decided who gets which mat, right? Because I already had the other one. But you straight up won the mat at Grapes last set.
Yeah.
You might have been the only
Yeah.
person in the entire St. Louis
I
area
think
who
we
straight
were
up won.
probably the yeah.
Nobody played
No,
that last round.
Fortuna. They played it at Fortuna. Pretty sure.
Okay. Fair.
Who was it at Fortuna? It was Alec and
it was Alec
Heather.
and Heather.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. They played that out, I think.
Yeah.
But
And I think that's what this is supposed to encourage with having only one playmat this time around is
Yeah.
making that final game actually happen and more Lorcana being played. The best
it's
of the
all
best
more
for the day,
stressful, though. So
Yeah.
much more stressful.
So much Lorcana, especially in these big events where we
Yeah.
push 40 people, right? So
yeah.
it's a long day. It's a long day.
I predict
Which
you'll
I guess-
see people
Go ahead.
leave after making Top Cut. I think this may be the first set champs we see someone who leaves after making Top Cut.
You think
Why
so?
would they leave after making Top Cut?
Because if they
You
already
don't
get
think
the
they
mat,
want the mat?
if they already get the mat, or they don't think
Oh.
they have the chance for the mat, and we know these events go late, really late.
Mm.
The same reason you leave in a 6-round event after 3 rounds if you're not doing so great because you got things to do. And so I think you're right. It's going to make that final game play out, but I think there was better ways to do it. We've talked about this before, but
Yeah.
you're not first, you're last. So gonna be a couple
Maybe.
stressful games there after you make Top Cut, trying to get that bat.
Yeah. I hope it's not the case. I mean, we even have at locals, one of our locals, where if somebody isn't going to get store credit, if they're already 0-2, they drop out. Which I hate to see because I come to play, and if I get that last round bye because I'm not doing well either, then that feels bad for 2 people now. So
Yeah.
I hope it encourages it, but I'm always an optimist when it comes to things like that. So. But set championships. Any thoughts, comments on that before we move on?
Super excited. Let's go.
Let's go.
Super excited.
I'm excited for any kind of event. Honestly, these week-to-week leagues right now are great, but I need a big tournament. That Enchanted tournament we had this past weekend was a lot of fun, even though it was single elimination. I'm like, okay, we're playing for something, that So hopefully we get some more like that. Moving on, we have the pre-orders are now up for Reign of Jafar set 8. Seems
Whoa,
super
chill.
early.
Chill. chill
I feel like that's
Ravensburger.
everybody's thoughts right now hearing that.
My
Yeah.
It
wallet's
was
no
kind of
take
wild to
so
see.
much.
Let me put my last set in my binder first.
Yeah, I'm not even done buying an obscene amount of this set.
Yeah, we are.
Kirsten has spoken. Like I've got enough, and that's going to lead into one of our questions
But
later.
I feel
Yeah,
like I got more than normal.
sure. But you guys got some really cool stuff out of it too. Even some duplicate enchanteds. I've never been fortunate enough to have two of the same one. I think that's your
Yeah.
second. That's your second time getting two of the same ones. I know you got Aladdin.
Yeah,
We've had that.
We
We've
got
had it a
dupes.
couple of times.
We got two
Yeah.
Aladdins, two Snow Whites, two You're Welcome.
You're welcome.
Technically, we got
Yeesh.
three
We probably
Aladdins, but one of
traded
them
away a
can't be.
One's
couple
a
of them, even. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've traded a couple away before as well, but it does kind of feel like a bit of the wall situation, which is kind of an inside joke. But if you know, you know. One of our
I
friends
wasn't
got
that disappointed with it.
three copies of it.
It's tradable. I think it's still really pretty. A lot of
I-
people
It
still
is
really
very
like
pretty.
the diamond.
Yeah, I don't know
So-
why. The first time I saw the Devil's Eye Diamond
It's so
enchanted, I'm like, that's a
cool.
beautiful card.
Isn't it?
I like the
What is
card.
it
I'm the
from?
kind of person
I
who would
do
try to make the card work. The Rescuers.
The rescue. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say we could cut out the diamonds in each of them and put them in our eyes like Dopey from Snow White.
We are not doing that.
Speaking of Snow White, we saw that movie. You guys got any strong opinions about it? Yes or no? Any?
I
anything
know
you
have
wanna
that
go
you
into?
do,
strong-
Brad.
I have some strong opinions. I want to know what other people's strong opinions are, but I also don't want to spoil it. So, like,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
essentially just like cut it all out.
I want to make a quick comment here. I did visit a friend's podcast this past week. By the time this podcast is out, theirs should be out as well. It's called Real Spoilers, REEL. I used to be a semi-regular guest on there when I used to review movies. Great group of guys. I was happy to jump back on there with them and talk movies. I didn't say a whole lot because they just have a great rhythm to themselves, and I'm terrible about interrupting, or I tried not to interrupt as little as I possibly can. But hope you guys want to check that out. What I want to say about it is I found the movie to be fine. There's so much outrage online that made me to believe this is going to be terrible, but ultimately it's enjoyable. It's a kids movie. It's mostly faithful to the original movie, right? And there was one moment you told me ahead of time that you almost audibly went, "What?" And I
You
knew
know what I'm
exactly.
talking
I know
about?
exactly what it
Okay,
is.
good.
We can't say it here, but it was something where they led into it. I'm like, this is about to happen, and it's gonna be weird. It's gonna be weird.
Yeah,
But,
I definitely agree. Not to get into the movie too much, but
Sure,
I did really like it. Still, I know I
It's a
have
good-
some strong opinions about it, but regardless of my strong opinions about it, it's just because I'm biased. Like, I really like
Sure.
the original movie. There's not much you can do with the original story either. So, like,
Yeah.
it is what it is. They did the best they could. It was still a good movie. And
Yeah.
yeah, you're right. From a kid's perspective, I bet it was still great. I bet
That's
they
all it
loved
is.
it. And that's all that
It's
matters. Is
a
that
new
it's
adaptation
great.
for a new generation of people or
It's
kids. Yeah,
just another princess for those little kids to look up to, and that's all that
Exactly.
matters. And it's just more magic for them.
Yep.
I bet you
So, I
$5.
don't even.
There's a non-zero amount of kids who cried when they saw the seven dwarves, seven magical creatures.
They weren't scary. I thought
They
they were
were not-
endearing.
To a kid,
Come on.
I thought they were the best part of the movie because of the comical relief they added to it. But
Yeah.
They
Yep.
did have.
but
I
they
really like. I
they
thought
were
I
an
killed them.
interesting choice in CGI design, and I could definitely see a small child just being like
It didn't take long.
and crying.
It didn't take long. to
Those
see it.
aren't people. Yeah, I
It really
understand.
didn't, though. Like, sure, like at first it was kind of like, oh, that's a choice, but like it didn't take long to just be
Yep.
fine with it. It was like, okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Perfectly fine date movie. We
Yeah.
walked out of it happy that we saw it. So cool. I'm glad you guys think the same. Another piece of news here. Another CCS event is happening in Georgia in the middle of June, 14th, the weekend of 14th and 15th. there are 3 different events happening. One is a women's only event that might be pretty cool. As we got a pretty good couple ladies on our team that might excel there. I don't know if their road trip is in the cards, but something to think about, as well as what is this, an 8K presented by 20 Lawyer over at Charlie's Collectible Show. I guess that's what the 8,000 means, is it's an 8K tournament and scalable pricing. So I thought that'd be pretty cool. We enjoyed the Atlanta area when we were down there for a DLC, and I think there's a scholarship tournament as well on Sunday. That's
It's only
is it kids only?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
16
it's
and under
only
scholarship
scholarship.
tournament. Yeah, it's free.
really
Oh, that's
cool.
incredible.
They can win like a $500 scholarship, I think it is.
Yeah.
Which is really, really awesome.
That's
Yeah.
incredible. Yeah.
We've got some really good kids on the Rules of Villainy team too.
We do. We
We-
should have a whole team road trip. Yeah.
They
That's
represent.
yeah, absolutely love that. I saw
And I
that pop
remind
up today.
Atlanta traffic is terrible, and I hate it.
That's true. It is
So-
very true.
I think CCS, I think Charlie's Collectible Show. So first off, besides these events that are happening, I think Charlie's Collectible Show is essentially like a mini convention that happens every like weekend or once a month or something like that, where they have like vendors that sell a bunch of stuff. Sometimes they have like cosplay competitions and like artists that show up and stuff. So besides just these Lorcana tournaments, there will almost certainly be like vendors and probably artists that you can get signatures and things from. I'm pretty sure the last event, the big one, it might not have been a CCS event, but the last one of these big events, they had Kendall was there. Kendall Hale, the artist.
Oh,
We
wow,
met
really?
in
I thought you were talking about Team Maelstrom, Kendall Burkett.
No.
I immediately was like, artist
Yeah.
Kendall.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But yeah, so it's a fun event in and of itself. But I believe that it is in Stone Mountain, Georgia.
I think that's right. That's what I saw.
It is. You could technically, we can just kind of go around Atlanta, right? So that we don't have to deal with most of the Atlanta traffic.
That's good.
So it's not too bad. It's actually a couple hours past Atlanta or outside of Atlanta, I think.
Okay.
Maybe 1 hour.
Yeah.
We'll have to
Just
take a look and see about the logistics.
Yeah. Just a thought, to the people who were talking about it today and the locals down there in the East Coast region. That sounds like a pretty cool show. I didn't realize it was that frequent. I guess we could liken it to like Toy Man here in St. Louis, right? Where it's that kind of event bi-monthly or something. Yeah.
Again, not every time is there a Lorcana tournament. I wouldn't be surprised if there was Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, Magic the Gathering, anything but Star Wars, mostly good games that they have, and like I said, cosplay competitions and things like that. But it looks like a really fun place. It does, I wish I had hit it up when I lived down there. That would have been a fun spot to have gone and check out. But yeah, we can hit Buc-ee's on the way.
Buc-ee's is always great. Get some of those
I don't
beaver
know.
nuggets.
I want some Wawa.
I've never actually been to a Wawa.
It's better than Buc-ee's for sure. Easy.
You should have gone to
Easy
Wawa
clap.
while you were in.
Interesting. We'd definitely have to check that out if we make that trip. All right. Moving on. We already talked about the collaboration with Real Spoilers and Snow White, but we have another one as a podcast this Friday. At least we're recording it this Friday. I don't know when it's releasing, but we're going to be hanging out with Brando and doing some Lorcana karaoke. What's that about? You guys ready to get your singing voice on?
I'm told it's
So it's also
Not
like
that
a
much
game
singing.
show.
yeah.
Okay.
So that's why there's like all going to be all 4 of us, and then I don't know if I don't know how the setup is. He hasn't told me yet.
Okay.
But yeah, it's like a game show, minimal singing, impromptu stuff. So it'll be a lot of fun.
That's exciting. I'm really excited for it.
Me too.
Yeah, Vince is going to shine.
I know. I was like,
His moment.
He was just like, "Oh,
Yeah.
are you okay with like impromptu stuff too?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm sure they'll be fine.
Oh yeah, 100%.
They'll figure it out."
Even though I'm marrying this girl, I don't even know if she's home yet because my door is closed. Like I get self-conscious when I'm like recording in here. I have my door closed, or when I'm singing or anything, or I don't do it to like my full capacity, and I'm just gonna have to be like, "That's out the door." You're like, she hear whatever she hears, she hears.
Yeah.
Kirsten.
Yeah.
Kirsten
I'm like, "Get out!"
Won't let me near while she records.
Oh man. But yeah, that's going to be a blast. I can't wait to do that. So shout out to him. For the podcast itself, that's it for our widespread news. For the podcast itself, we do still have other content here on the channel. I started a local meta report that I've been doing every Saturday morning, going over the latest and greatest of the competitive decks here beyond between all of the LGSs that have. I'm just stuttering through my words here. Sorry about that. Constructed events to see what's popping here in St. Louis and what people are coming up with. I got some really good ones ready for this upcoming weekend that I can't wait to share with you. I started a new series, not really a series today, just kind of a sporadic thing that I thought would be a lot of fun. I've been playing this new Emerald Ruby deck, and I decided, you know what, I kind of want to do just a deck review video of it. I found it online. I shouldn't say I found it. It was shown to me by a listener, Michael, one of the locals, who thought it looked really spicy, and it is. It's a lot of fun when it works. When it doesn't feel good at all. In a steel meta with a Diablo out there, like he's just not sticking around with those storms and those all the removal that you can possibly have come in with that turn 1 bell. Like if you play that one drop Diablo and you see they have Storm in your hand and you don't have Ursula, well, shifting Diablo is going to stink, but what can you do? But anyway, I did about a 7 or 8 minute video on that. The first video I recorded entirely with my mic muted, so that was a lot of fun, and I had to do it again. But that's out there now. That's out there now. That was a lot of fun.
One?
And if
you released the muted one as well,
it probably would have been better for the audience. Yeah.
Watch 7 minutes of Brad talk without audio on our Patreon. I should have
actually kept the video of that. I deleted the video after I realized that, like, I cannot believe I did this. I went straight to the socials and everybody was like, we've all done it. We've all done it. Welcome to the club. So I don't feel so bad about it. But that's fun. That's something that I'll be doing off and on. If you have any decks you want me to look at or try out, please send them our way. Maybe I can make a video out of it and have some fun with that. As well as Tuesday nights. I'm so sorry, guys. I slept through your Deck Tech Tuesday last night, or Deck Test Tuesday last night. I'm usually on there keeping the chat going, having fun, watching what you guys are cooking. You guys do a great video every Tuesday night. Do you guys want to talk about it?
Yeah, we test deck.
We play some games, and I got my butt whooped yesterday.
Yeah.
Okay.
It comes and it goes.
Darn bell.
I had the luck yesterday. It seemed.
Yeah.
Like she said earlier, I just couldn't stop hitting that bell combo, and like I said, what we'll talk about later. I think we kind of flipped our decks. I think I aimed mine. I adjusted mine to try a different style of Sapphire Steel. And she adjusted hers a little bit in Amber Steel, and I think in my favor that kind of just like it tipped the scales too much, and so I got the edge there. But she did take a game in each of the best of 3, so it was competitive for sure. I think it was riveting gameplay, and you should join us every Tuesday, 7 p.m. Central. Till 9 p.m. Central.
I think we are probably going to stick to the 7 p.m. time. I think 6 o'clock was a little too early for likely everybody. We were rushing to eat dinner. So 7 o'clock felt a lot easier to do. Felt like it was easier for people to be able to join at that point in the evening. So we'll probably do that. I think we want to maybe switch it up and have other people deck test with us as well. So I think we put that call to action out in the one yesterday evening. But if anybody wants to join Deck Test Tuesday in the future, let us know. We're more than happy to have guests. Just probably have to join the Discord.
Yeah.
Just another reason to join the Discord.
Yeah. Link down in the description below.
Yeah. We'll probably try and see if maybe some of our team members, maybe we can even convince Brad or Vince to play some with us, but we figured if we get to a point, we could potentially even have like a special, maybe once a month or once every other month or whenever we feel like it, a special episode where some of the people in our Discord play against each other. So we kind of, Tuesdays originally was the day we weren't really doing anything, and so we tried to start up some more like team practices. And we're still working on our team structure and making sure we he'll provide to that part of it. But maybe we could bring the same sort of thing in. If we can get a bunch of people in the Discord playing some webcam games on Tuesdays, then the stream can potentially become like where we, are casting and just sort of sharing and commentating and watching other people's matches. And now it's a lot easier to, one, showcase the community, get people who are like a lot better at it. Again, as we'll talk about later in the podcast, Ruby Sapphire and Sapphire Steel are kind of both pretty good decks right now, but we're not going to catch Kirsten playing either of those. And so it'll be hard to focus and, showcase, I guess, some of the matchups. So, inviting some of the other teammates, and then ultimately everyone out there who wants to come hang out with us in Discord, try and make this a little more community and team oriented. So
yeah, that sounds great.
Future ideas.
Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic, guys. All right, that'll wrap up Underworld news. Let's move on to Constituents Corner. This is usually my segment where I ask all the questions, but given how Vince isn't here this week, do we want to rotate it, or should I just keep going like I have been?
Kirsten can ask all the questions.
I can ask all of the questions.
Do you want to?
I can potentially ask most of them, sure. If I can
Okay.
read these. They're just on my other screen. Okay,
I have no problem doing it, but if you want to, yeah, go for it.
No, it's fine.
We rehearsed this.
The first question from Neon Derek, I believe is how we pronounce that. I actually don't know, so maybe we should have Brad pronounce these.
I believe that's his first initial and last name. I may be mistaken. That's Nick from Fortuna, who just
Great.
pops up here and there once in a while, and he brings the heat when he does. He brings that Emerald Sapphire deck before anybody had thought of it before, and then just disappears. And then he comes back when I ask for some questions. And he's like, "Hey, I got one for you. What was it?"
Oh, yes. So when are we getting Rules of Villainy Disney movie tier list?
I think we can do that if that's
right
something
now.
that.
Let's go. All right.
That's a whole episode.
101 Dalmatians puppy tier. Next up, Little Mermaid fish tier.
Oh, I see what you're doing. I have caught on. But no, if that's the kind of content you want, we can certainly make an episode out of that, or just have a side content where I think it'd be a lot of fun to do. If you want to see something similar that we have done in the past, our first collaboration with Katie at the Lore Keepers Inn, we did a whole video with her of ranking the Disney villains, tier ranking the villains. So that can kind of give you an idea of what kind of content that could be if we decide to do all the movies. And then we have to set parameters. Are we just doing Disney like classic animation? Are we doing Disney current with Pixar and the Disney Animation Studios with Moana and all that? There is a lot. There are a lot of movies.
Definitely need limits.
Disney Channel original movies?
Because I will be there all night.
Did you say Disney Channel original movie?
Yeah, Disney Channel original movies.
Absolutely not.
Motocross, Smart House.
So much.
No,
There's so much.
No.
Come on.
Moving on to the
Lizzie
next
McGuire?
question from Lorcana Heat. Thoughts on the D23 set that's re-releasing and the ridiculous amount of E-clans that's available?
I think it's great.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah,
I like the D23 set releasing.
Yeah.
No real thoughts on Inklands. I think that they definitely made a oopsies on printing this many as they did.
It's thematic. Inklands. They flooded.
Sure.
They got flooded. Yeah. The Inklands
No,
got
that would
flooded.
be like the Floodborn. That would be thematic.
Well, the rise of the Floodborn, and then into the Inklands. The lands have been covered in ink. I don't know. They printed too many. What do you want? It's not a great set.
I think it's a great set. I just think there's too much of it.
I think it was fine. I just
yeah.
think, yeah.
And I think I don't know how the production works. Like I know there's several sets in advance, and we know that set 1 and set 2 had distribution, or I guess production, like just limited quantities, right? So I don't know if set 3 was them reciprocating, like, okay, we need to change this, and they overprinted it, therefore probably losing a lot of money on it, or if it was already in production, and I don't know. It was just wild walking into Disney Springs this past February and seeing just end caps and full of individual packs. Like I sent a picture on the Discord, and then behind the counters, all the checkout lanes I had there, dozens and dozens of boxes of it. Like it's everywhere, and it's crazy to me that
And it's
all
just
of
so
that's
funny.
available. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just crazy because when we went to Disney World the last time, it was during first chapter.
Yeah.
There was nothing.
Nothing.
There was nothing.
Yeah.
There was a Trove box at a local like shady mall shop for like $300. Like an absurd amount of money they
Yeah,
wanted
no thanks.
for. I mean, like we took a pic. We asked how much it was, and we thought it was gonna be overpriced. But when they said it was like several $100s, I had to contain my laughter from like actually laughing at this poor lady's face because like
Well,
she had no
she knew.
control over it.
She knew.
She knew. Yeah.
I said $350. Really? I was like, that's the price for like a whole box. Like that's just like a gift thing, you know, a set or whatever. She's like, yeah, I know. She's like, that's just what the owner sets the price at, and I'm like, good luck with that.
Yeah.
I mean,
It was.
I'm sure somebody bought it.
We've
It's
seen
set
pictures.
one. Yeah.
We've seen pictures of other people who went to Disney after us and saw the exact same set.
Same price.
Because they had starter decks for $80.
Yeah.
For the starter decks.
Sheesh.
Yeah. The gift set was like 175 or something like that. The first chapter.
It was just all
It
really,
was
really expensive.
honestly a shrine to the most expensive scalper priced set one we've ever seen. It was great. That was hilarious.
Wild.
Yeah. But I mean, we looked all over the place. Disney Springs, couldn't find anything.
Sure. Everybody else had the same idea too. It was so hot when it first came out and so hard to get.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe looking back on it now, it's wild how difficult it was to get compared to now when the set
like I was just thinking to myself the other day, I was like, how did we even play the game? Did we even have enough cards to play the game back then? How did we play the game?
Yeah, I was.
It's been so long. I also kind of don't remember.
I found some old posts on Facebook recently. I shared some in the Discord where I was learning the game, and then I went through like the local groups, and I found my name, and I saw all the posts from me, and there were ones where I'm missing all these cards from set one that I was like, I have dozens of them now. But at the time that set one was like just released, like there was I think 30 cards that I didn't have from my binder out of the 204 that were, that like little did I know a year later I'd be picking them up like super cheap now. But at the time I'm like, I gotta get them all. And I was new to the whole thing. I didn't know, where to go to get singles and what good pricing was, and I just wanted to rip packs. I couldn't. But
yeah,
it's wild. As far as the thoughts on D23 in Thick Flair's question there, I think it's great that they're re-releasing that. It's to D23 members only, but it's also eligible for the free tier for D23. So you could just sign up for the free membership of D23 and still get in the lottery for the package, and you'll get it at retail costs too. A lot of people are selling them for more than they paid for them at the stores when they were released during the D23 period. But it's just a super cool gesture to have more in stock and being able to give them out to the people who actually want them or give them a chance to get them. So, I applaud them for doing that.
My one complaint, they should have done this with the last one because I need that Maleficent.
Oh, oh my goodness. Yeah. If they ever reprint that, that's going to be
I know.
wild.
All hell would break loose because
I've given up on
I'm
been
never
trying to
getting that.
Yeah, I've been trying to get all the promos from set one, or like the whole. I think it's sets 1 through 4 or 1 through 3, whatever all the promos were. And part of me is just like, why do I need to buy these 5 cards to fill out the set promos when I'm never going to get the first 7 because they're thousands of dollars?
So much money.
Yes.
I think at one point Collector Store had one of the sets for sale.
Yep.
Because Liz put it, I think, in the Discord.
Yep.
And I just for shits and giggles, I was just like, how much is it? And it was like 10 grand.
10 grand.
I was like, never happening in my life. Like, as much as I love the game and collecting and just Disney, I don't think I would ever spend that much money on.
Sure. Yeah, I couldn't. Yeah.
And that's crazy. 40 grand too, right? Just so you'd have a play set of them. Wild.
Yeah.
Because I mean, if you're getting one set of them, like obviously you have to get
Three
the
more.
playset.
I'm getting
Sure.
one. I'm not opening it. I don't need a playset. Like,
Okay,
I
Yeah,
got
that's
open
what
my
I'm saying.
So
D23.
you need 5 of them. One.
I won't even let
to
Andy
display,
open ours.
or I already opened it and used them. You knew this. You knew this.
No, because I thought we had.
Took the Ursula to Seattle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. You're getting a look.
I had to. If you want to play like Zan, you have to like become Zan. All right, you just have to like, yeah, you have to try and channel all of your inner Zan.
I bet I would have made day 2 if you would have given me all the fancy cards in my deck, because we had the same deck, and you took all of the enchanteds and all of the good cards.
No,
and some of my enchanteds too.
Yeah.
No, I made changes to my deck that ultimately proved not great, but I made changes.
Yeah.
They weren't the same.
Okay.
All right.
Next question.
You want to?
All right.
Yeah.
Next question from. I don't remember how to
Little.
pronounce.
Paul. It's Paul.
It's Paul. I knew it was Paul. Now that 2 weeks have passed, what cards have you been surprised by that weren't high on the radar?
Bolt. We pulled
Which one?
the enchanted one. We pulled the enchanted bolt,
one.
And I was like, she was like, "Oh my gosh, it's so good," and I'm like, this might not be the greatest card. I mean, it always had the upside of the illusion banishment for next set when that comes out, but I was kind of just like meh. But I have been seeing some evidence to prove otherwise. The shift targets are kind of bad, not gonna lie, but
2 cost and a 3 cost, right?
Yeah, but just building up a board and then playing Bolt and then questing Bolt and then reading with Sven and getting like a billion lore, or whole new worlding, singing whole new world with the Bolt into a Sven and then getting a billion lore is kind of bonkers. So
you can also recur Lilo at the start of turn and get lore for her as with Bolt.
Yeah, really interesting. So
yeah. What about you, Kirsten? What's yours?
I like the Miss Bianca.
Yes.
I really like the Miss Bianca.
A lot of people weren't talking about her until recently. Like, she's been in every Amber Steel deck that I've played against so far.
I feel like I would put her in any Steel deck, honestly, as long as it had an ally, because I feel like there's more allies than people really kind of care to pay attention to, because like it's such a non committal card. Like there's not a lot of defining things that are like, oh, if you have an ally, it's like always a princess or a prince or a hero or a villain.
Sure.
But like if they're not one of those things, they're probably an ally. So
I'm actually surprised that she's not in a lot more blue steel decks, because all your opening plays are allies, right? Maybe not Bell, but Tipo. If you're running, are you running Tipo? We'll get to that. But Mr. Smee, Calhoun is probably not an ally. He's I don't know.
Hero.
Yeah, but
Bell's also not an ally.
Yeah.
I don't believe.
I know Bell's not. Yeah.
Yeah,
Bell's a hero.
Me is, yeah. Anyway, but
I think the amount of allies goes up pretty significantly when you add in that Amber, because you're also playing like Daisy, Nala, Troubadour if you play that. Even the Lawrence on 3, Doc.
I don't think
Penny.
I don't think Lawrence is he's a villain.
Lawrence is an ally, Storyborn ally.
Yep.
So there's just, it could definitely be done, but it's just like, I don't know how many times. I don't know if I've ever seen you play the Miss Bianca for 6. Honestly, when you're playing Amber Steel,
you never have to. Yeah, she always comes out at a 4 cost, I would imagine.
Yeah.
And I guess the reason why you wouldn't see it in blue steel is because I don't know that that's the play you want to make on 4 or 3 with ramp. I guess because of just everything you want to do with that deck with the draw with Hiram and all that as well. But every time. Every time I've seen Bianca, it's been the 4 cost, the cost reduction to 4 with 5/5, and she quests for 1 or 2.
One.
One.
Just
You quest for one. Quest for one, but she's just got a 5/5 strength and willpower, just absolutely insane for that coming out on 4, right? So
Yeah,
Sings Zeus, sings Whole New World.
I really
yes,
like her.
yeah. Throw her in your Ruby Steel. She sings Pirate's Life too.
Yeah, that was one of the first cards when I was like, what do I want to play this new set? And I was like, oh, I wonder if, a Steel Song would work again. I was like, I want to play Miss Bianca in it.
Yeah, it's a good card.
Yeah.
Mine's the Queen in Amethyst.
Yeah.
I've seen her popping up a little bit in Ruby Amethyst. I thought that was the deck where she probably does thrive in it. But then I've been playing it in my Blurple when just deck testing with that, and knowing that I'm going into a deck that has Bell in it, like on that turn one, like every deck that I play has Bell in it, and I know that she's going to be in that discard eventually. And Andy and Vince, were on to my game when I streamed that from that Enchanted tournament. They knew exactly what I was doing by putting Bell in the discard and playing that Queen. It's a 4 lore on Exert. He didn't have any threats to take it out until he drew a Zeus. Along came Zeus, but that was a card that was released. A lot of people were just like, yeah, whatever. Amethyst never gets good legendaries. And now that like the meta is starting to settle in, I'm like, that Queen is going to be very, very sneaky if they can't answer it. And there's bells and everything in the discard, especially bells. I mean, against Steel Song, there's going to be so many more princesses. But yeah, absolutely, that's the card I would say surprised me the most.
Princess card may be one of, if not the most common card, I think, to find in all the decks, if you average them all together or whatever, because besides Steel Song having a ton of it, I mean, there are actual competitive decks that are built around princesses and queens with the Queen Sensor Core. I think you end up seeing there's like impactful princesses in every color, I feel like. If I could spell princess, I might be able to look it up here to get more examples of it. But yeah, it's definitely a really good card. I really like it.
Yeah.
All right.
So the next question is from Sholand. What card from current or previous sets are you waiting on to be good? I want to see Fairy Godmother, Mystic Armorer, have a decent 1-drop fairy. Oh, what am I reading?
He wants to have the legendary Fairy Godmother to have a good shift target.
Perfect. Good.
Yeah.
My eyeball stopped working for a second.
No worries.
Yep.
I'll start with that one. This is one I've talked about in the past, and I think Vince will agree too. He brought it up as well. I think we might have had a similar question actually, but the Sapphire Alice, the legendary Alice from set 2. I love that card. And I've been trying to make some kind of princess deck. I know she's not a princess in the game, or I guess at all, but the 3-drop Alice that we have now is great. I don't really want to shift on her, but the fact that you could shift onto this Alice as a good shift target with a wide board allows even more questing. You lose the abilities of the ward and everything from the first Alice, but I like that card a lot, and there hasn't really been a great target for her to shift onto before that. So that's always going to be my answer until she's a competitive card, because I think it's a pretty cool card.
I don't have a good answer.
That's fine.
Because I'm terrible at remembering the cards.
No, you're totally fine.
I really want.
What about you, Andy?
I really want the Rockstar Stitch to be good again. I think it's just unfortunately like a little too dated, really.
Yeah.
When you play a character that costs 2 or less, you may exert them to draw a card. You don't really want to be exerting your characters. I could see this working with something like maybe a Mufasa, but I love the card. I love the Enchanted. I want to play with mine. I want to, I want this card to be good, but I don't even know where I'd begin, like what we would need to make it good, right? You can't say like, oh, well, we would just need to be like a bunch of good 1-drops. Like, well, we got a ton of good 1 and 2 drops. I just, yeah, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it needs, but I'm hoping for it.
All right, we got one more from two more. Next one's from Jake.
All
Let me
right.
take it.
Sure. Go ahead.
Yeah, favorite character that doesn't have a Floodborn yet. I immediately said in the Discord, brooms next. I want a Floodborn broom. What about you guys?
Again, I don't remember which ones don't even have Bloodborns at this point.
Say Scar so I can have two answers here.
Does
he
Scar not have a
Bloodborne?
Floodborn?
Nope.
Okay,
Really?
Scar.
Yeah.
Done. Next.
You got one.
Question. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like
I
all
need
of
to
them
prepare
have
for
a
these
good.
questions.
I feel like all of them have a good shift. Like, man, I don't know.
I feel like
Maui doesn't have a shift character, does he?
Nope. Not that I'm aware of.
So Maui could have a shift character. That would be. The problem is all Mauis are beefy, and so,
in some regard, the owl hits hard, but only has one health or one willpower.
5/2.
Oh, 5/2. Yep.
That's a 3-cost uninkable. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I could understand. I understand them not printing like a 1-drop Maui, and so it'd be interesting to try and make that work. But maybe he's like an even bigger Maui. I don't know.
Yeah. All right, and the last one's from Nettie. She asked, "What do y'all do with all that bulk in all y'all's boxes?" This bulk, it drives me crazy. It sits there on the daily. I don't know what to do with it I already screwed it up. I had it all written out.
That's too good.
I've been waiting for this moment. That I
Damn.
screwed it all up. No one will
Start
freaking pay me for a bunch of commons. Better yet, uncommons. So instead, I'm sharing them, but that don't solve my problems.
That's so perfect though, because it's
I messed up my own song.
Nobody wants it. We just hand them out for free, but then they just sit on the shelf behind Andy that you can't even really see because there's crap in the way.
Just like
I don't even have as much as you, and I'm like, please take it.
So much stuff. So much bulk. Bro.
Oh, that would have been so much better if I didn't mess it up. But
it was still
that's me. That's what I do is I mess up things that I write even. So
so funny.
All right, we'll cut out the part where you stopped singing in the middle, and we'll just edit
We'll make it a short.
together.
How about just cut out all of it, please?
No, we're leaving it in.
We'll cut all the words
we're gonna
together,
make a short of it, and then it's going to be a new video of like, what do you do with your bulk?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Here's a message from the mayor.
You want to hit him with the outro there, Kirsten?
Sure.
Too busy laughing.
It'll be fine. If you'd like your questions answered, or just, we talk about crap a lot, it's fine. By the villains in the future, be sure to comment on this video or socials, or join our Discord where you can comment in the Constituents Corner channel, because we are just pure chaos. Do we even answer the questions at the end of the day? I don't know.
I just made a song about how it just sits there. It just sits there. I give it away at my leagues and hope that there have been new players who come in and it's taken a lot of it from me, and very grateful for it. And so I'm happy to do that. But when I try to trade it in anywhere, I get pennies for it. So I'm like, I'd rather just keep it and give it away, right? Just like Martin Karp does in our Discord. He goes to Disney and gives them away to cast members. So anybody who is excited to get it,
don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't carry giant boxes.
Do whatever makes you happy.
Throw them off
exactly
from the Cinderella castle at Disney World.
I'm just waiting for the day where we can put together like Porcana themed like movie decks for like kids and just host like a event.
Yeah, really that would be incredible. That's something that's been in the back of my mind forever.
The last thing I was gonna think to do with our bulk, we didn't get to do it because we were in Seattle for the DLC, but because it was in Halloween, Bodox always does like the trunk or treat thing for Halloween. We were just gonna put together our own like little Orcana packs for people, for the
kids love it.
I was the year before that, before Lorcana was really like kicked off, and we weren't ever gonna give away cards because they were too expensive. But we just bought the little like Pokemon trick or treat things,
Kids love
and
it.
everybody loved it.
I went
Kids
to
loved
Disney
it.
Springs in February and I bought a single Inklands pack. I mean, the hundreds that were there, I was like, maybe I'll get some Disney magic. I bought a single
Yeah.
pack. I had all the cards. Of course, I had all the cards. I'm basically looking for Enchanteds in that scenario. And then in line for the bus, I found a kid sitting there, and I asked the mother, I was like, hey, does your kid want these cards? Because like I have all of them. And the kid lit up. He was so excited to flip through them and see all the cool characters he got. And if I could continue to do that, just locally or wide, I would love to. It's such a treat.
It is. It was great. We did the same thing. I mean, it's kind of also like beneficial for us because we're kind of pawning the cards off. But when we went to Andy's sister's wedding in January, we shopped around, found a bunch of cards, didn't really need them, have them all at home. We were just gamblers opening packs. Couldn't really fit them in any of our.
We were packed.
We did play,
It was
in the
entertainment.
hotel. But we didn't really have a whole lot of room because I went a little crazy on the blind boxes. So we were just like, here, sister-in-law, kids, do you want all of these cards? And they were so excited. And I was so excited because I'm like, great, this is perfect. You're happy. I'm happy. Great.
Yeah. All right, moving on to our main segment. We're mostly just going to talk about the meta here. The first question that Andy proposed here is Ruby Sapphire versus Ruby Steel.
Wait, no.
What?
Sapphire Steel. You edited my writing. That's
did I?
That's slander and libel. I'm gonna.
Well, I apologize. I am Ron Burgundy. I will read what's in front of me. I didn't think it looked right.
Ruby Steel. Yeah, Ruby Steel is top of the meta right now. No,
it can be if you're brave enough.
We hinted at it before, but Sapphire Steel is looking really, really good. It was really, really strong. I think the Aussie version was kind of a pipe dream. In fact, I'm pretty sure Zan said that he knew when he was building his Aussie version to play the first round of the LCCC that it was like super high roll and like he was just kind of like having fun basically. He was like, I just really wanted Aussie to work in the meta, so we might as well try. Start at like this is the like craziest, insane possible version of this, and then sort of dial it down from there. And I think at the same time, people like Artibax, LD, and like Harlan Sweet and their testing partners and stuff are sort of working it from the ground up. How can we, take what is this very fast, sort of on curve, somewhat aggro list, and how can we incorporate some of these new tools into that while keeping the same sort of core, but being able to leverage this incredibly strong turn one advantage that is, Popsicle
Bell
into Bell, right?
Yeah.
And so that seemed like the clear winner, and we actually saw that in our live stream. The Enchanted tournament it was Sapphire Steel versus Ruby Sapphire. We saw Ron, Reckless teammate on the sort of DKP version, the like Protect the Manor, and he Sapphire Steel won that one, right? So it was very much like, how do we beat that deck? But then it was it Southside Gaming this past weekend? There was the big event that happened like this past weekend, where it was like 6 out of 8 were Ruby Sapphire in the top 8, and I think Ruby Sapphire took the whole thing. So there was this kind of, I think Ruby Sapphire realized that, hey, if most of my opponents are not going fast and they're just sort of trying to set up for the late game like I am, well, I can win that game, right? There is only a small amount of like...
It was CCS.
CCS had one last weekend. Wow. Okay, and they're already having another one planned. Wow, they're
in June. They're a couple months apart.
They'll probably have 10 of them in between. But
wow.
Yeah, a lot of Ruby Sapphire, right? And
Sapphire. The only deck in the top 8 that's not Sapphire is the Ruby Amethyst in number 4. Oh, I lied.
there's two.
Steel
Amethyst.
Amethyst in top 8. Yep.
Because Steel Amethyst
Dang.
played Ruby Amethyst in the first round of top 8. They had to cannibalize each other, unfortunately. But it is interesting. I think Ruby Sapphire has better control tools. Things, whether you decide to go with the coil or not, you still have things like Be Prepared. You still have things like Maui Shark. You have things like Pirate's Life and Brawl, which is an amazing answer for Hiram.
Is it? Well, for Hiram, for sure. One of the things I talked about in my Emerald Ruby deck is that Brawl is a great Ruby card, but in this Steel meta, when all the cards, including Bell, are 3/3, Smee's 3/3, Calhoun's 3/2, Brawl feels like a dead card most of the time until you get to the Hiram or something else like that. Because
you don't have coil. Yeah.
And yeah, you're right. I don't have coil. So we'll talk more about coil here shortly.
Right.
But you're right. No, we're talking about two completely different decks.
But even without the coil, though, Brawl is still, I think, kind of a necessary evil. You're absolutely right. Brawl's not like as oppressive as it was in the meta, largely because I think the same with Medusa, right? We saw Medusa fade out last set-ish because everyone was just kind of like, well, if too many people play Medusa, I'll just start playing bigger characters. They'll be slightly worse than maybe some of my smaller characters, but they're still good enough to just beat you. Now your Medusa's worthless, right? The same thing is kind of happening with Brawl. It's just like, okay, well, I will just play 3/3 characters. I don't want to play Flynn Rider anymore. I won't play Cusco anymore. I'll, even Sapphire Steel, like the Diggy deck has, the Smee, the Lawrence, the Calhoun, the Pluto, and they're just like, I'll protect against Ruby. But now, with Steel being in the meta, I think people are getting a little lax on that. Kirsten's deck in this Amber Steel would just get absolutely eaten by Brawl, Big Sisu, even Little Sisu. There's a lot of a card like a Troubadour, which is incredibly hard to remove for Sapphire Steel or any Steel, is incredibly easy to remove for Ruby lists, right? So Ruby has the better removal. Be Prepared is a menace against the Sapphire Steel decks as they continue to build up their board as they control it. And so it kind of feels like Ruby Sapphire is, favored in that list or in that matchup. And I think we saw that in the CCS event, where Ruby Sapphire took the whole thing, right? And
took the top 3, yeah.
Yeah, top 3. So, that's an oppressive deck. We saw it today, or I guess in this case, a couple of days ago, with Ed and DKP, right? That manner is crazy. Although Ed was playing Ruby Sapphire as well, wasn't he? They were both playing.
Yeah, he was playing a completely different version of it. It's not completely different, but he was running. He wasn't running any manners. He had Tremaines in it, which DKP didn't. But yeah, it's one of those things where we saw very clearly, like DKP, he lost the first game, and they were all 3 very, very good games. 2 of the very, very best playing. It almost felt like Worlds, is what I joked about today. But the
preview of Worlds.
It's basically
contenders. They're both
basically, right? But what was a very clear indication, I saw somebody tweet it as well, is that for the first half of the game, all you're doing is playing Sapphire. You're playing your Popsicle, your Bell, your Tipo, you're ramping, and then after that, it's all Ruby. It's your Pirate's Lives, it's your Maui's, it's your Be Prepareds, whatever, and then you throw down your manners if you don't have them down already, and nobody has the answer to immediately deal with that. It was amazing in game 1. I think DKP got 3 manners down, and between Tala and Maui, he was so far behind that it allowed Ed to take out all 3 manners with Tala and Maui, because he had I think DKP was top decking, and then it got super close because he top decked a Hades, which is now being run in these decks, and all this removal that was like, it made it such a competitive game. And then I had a work call, and I'm like, I want to watch this game. I gotta do my work, but Yeah, it was right after my lunch, but yeah, the point was, all the ramp that you get with Sapphire, and then at one point DKP had nothing but Ruby in his hand, and that's all he needed. He had 2 Be Prepareds, I think 3 Pirates Life, and no matter how far ahead Ed got, those 3 Pirates Life are just going to bring him back down for DKP to catch up, and it was just an incredible showing for both decks, and something I don't want to be up against because it's just so, like you said, I think oppressive is a very good word for it.
Yeah, one of the other things I have here is, do any other decks have a chance? And it is certainly a question that we need to explore. It's one that I'm going to be, sort of thinking about a lot as I'm supposed to be working or falling asleep or doing anything really. It's just always Lorcana on my mind. But, Amber Steel, I thought, was a strong contender. Kirsten has been whooping my butt and a lot of people's butts with it for a while. You went 3-0 at Bodox last week, right? And
I think I lost one. I think I lost to Ron.
Did you? I know you beat Eduardo, who was playing Sapphire Steel.
Yeah, I think I lost the first
If she was 3-0, she would have been
round.
in my meta report. I don't think she was.
I was 3-0.
I think
right?
I lost to Ron.
Yeah, you were.
Okay. But I know her list beat Sapphire Steel, which was nice, and she was beating me when I was playing Sapphire Steel, both versions. I was playing the free items and the sort of curve version. And then I was kind of like, okay, well, maybe it's Amber Steel. And obviously Ruby Sapphire is a big counter to Amber Steel, like we talked about with, a lot of these lower strength characters getting just popped by a big Sisu. You can't really go wide on them because of B prep. And the lack of draw power that Amber Steel has, and the fact that giving a whole new world to a Ruby Sapphire player is kind of a death sentence, really. It was like, okay, well, if Ruby Sapphire stays out and everyone plays Sapphire Steel, then maybe Amber Steel has a chance. But with Ruby Sapphire gaining so much popularity and being arguably a decent answer to Sapphire Steel, it is also kind of an inherent answer to Amber Steel. And then you think about, okay, something like Amethyst Steel or Ruby Amethyst. And those decks were able to still control a game against a faster deck by using things like rush characters in Ruby Amethyst, or just the Fox, or Steel Songs and stuff in some of the Amethyst Steel lists. But they were able to go faster against Ruby Sapphire. But now, can they do that? Because Ruby Sapphire can now play a 3/3 on turn 1, and then they take a turn off on turn 2. Good. Whew. But then they play a 4/4 on turn 3 in the Scrooge. And then now they're ramping into Sharks and Be Prepareds and all of the usual that you have trouble with. And Sapphire Steel, the other problem, again, just kind of deals with your aggression really, really well. I mean, Flynn is super old news, but even just playing this very consistent curve like draw package that Ruby Amethyst typically plays, with one of the 1-drop replacing itself, maybe replacing that with a snake, or even nowadays playing like a Raja or something, and then or a Smee if it's an Amethyst Steel, and then on turn 3 playing down something like either a Crab to buff up if you need, or maybe a White Rose and sing Friends, and just kind of this very medium tempo game where all of your cards are really great. You have a great hand size. It just doesn't work, right? Ruby Sapphire or Sapphire Steel is just kind of like, cool story, bro. Did you see I got 20 lore last turn? No big deal.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh. So it is gonna be interesting. What do you think, Brad? You think you have the answer? I know you whooped my free items version. You whooped my butt with that aggro.
Yeah, with the Cherna Dogs.
Yeah, Cherna Dogs.
That's a fun deck, but it's one of those decks where you got to hit the ground running. Everything's so low to the ground. I played Brittany. She was playing Chernodogs this past weekend against my actions deck, and just that big Sisu. Like we're talking about Sapphire Ruby, big Sisu comes out. Even the little Sisu comes out and messes my game up by taking out something important to me because everything's one cost or one strength, maybe two strength if I'm lucky. But the whole goal of that deck is to just get that discard. What's that?
The character Lucky has one strength.
Oh, okay. He's not in there.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
He's a dog. But,
he is a dog. But yeah, it's that was a lot of fun. That's what I think the answer is to these decks is just going faster. The same night I played that deck into Eduardo's Blue Steel, and I was up 18-0 one of the rounds and ended up losing. Part of it was misplaying very, very badly and getting greedy with it. But once they get to the point where the Tamatoas and stuff are coming out, he got like, I think 14 lore in one turn for game. Like he was so far behind at one point, then he just kind of gradually quested a little bit here and there. I controlled as much as I could with my Tremaines, and he'd top deck into the song that he needs, like a Zeus to get rid of it or something. And then suddenly a turn later, he plays big, he quests the Tamatoa for a free dime. He plays the big Tamatoa, and then it's just game on board, like in one turn. And it's absolutely insane. So my initial response to you right now, I know aggro is an easy answer. Looking at the list of options that we have here between Amber Steel, Amethyst Steel, Ruby Amethyst, I think the fast version of Amethyst Steel that Jimmy's running and Spessie's running, that is very low to the ground and it's just instant lore like crazy, is a good option. But again, when you're playing Ruby Sapphire, a big Sisu is going to wipe out everything. The Doc's one strength, the Honey Marin's two strength. Everything is so low to the ground that it's going to get wiped out by either a Be Prepared or a big Sisu. But I want to lean in the direction because I'm having a lot of fun with it myself, and I think it needs a lot of modification. Even though I'm running Kirsten's version of it from the beginning, the beginning of the set, I think Jafar Wheel has legs to I know you said that we don't want to wheel into Ruby Sapphire at any time, but if you got the board presence enough to sing a whole new world and wheel into another one and just hard cast it again, that's 14 lore right there. So if you've quested a few times before that, you can do the same thing they're trying to do with their turn. I just need to optimize the deck more to prepare for that. Not that I can make a better deck than Frank Karsten, but this was all pre-meta, right? Before everything was determined, he put together 8 decks to write an article about it, and it's a very fun deck to play, but I think that there's more things that I need to do to balance out what I'm facing with that deck because I'm running into these walls. I'm either doing really well or I'm getting right there to the finish line and not being able to get across it. But that 7 lore at a time or more, if you got friends on the other side, you got your magic lamp, you got so many draw options in Amethyst itself. Even Ryan on our team is thinking about running a Jafar deck in Emerald, double sing with Ursula with the friends and stuff. You're not getting 7 at a time, but you got your second star to the right. You got Ursula double singing friends. You got the same stuff that anything that you have in Amethyst. I think there's something there, and I think it's, at least from my little experience of playing the deck, that I never thought I'd be here, but I think that Jafar Wheel has legs to be really good right now. Sounds fun. That's just me as a casual player mostly saying that, but I see things that make it seem like there's something there that could disrupt stuff, but
I mean, if you, so part of the problem is like Jafar's shift 5, right?
Yeah.
So it's not easy to set up this, but if you had the Jafar out already, the idea of like singing Whole New World into a Pete, like if you can get a Pete down with the Jafar on the board, your Jafar essentially is guaranteed to survive till the next turn, with the exception of Maui Half Shark. Maui Half Shark is really like the only character, the only way I can foresee removing that Jafar if a Pete was played.
And you're not likely beating Sapphire on the ramp, right? They're going to be ahead of you in ink, so that shark might very well be out before Jafar is. One of the tricks that I've been trying to do, and it's only worked a few times. Like the meme of it is the new legendary Mickey. There's a one of the Night Goofy in there to challenge up with the Mickey that allows you to play any character for free. You got to have it in hand, of course, which is always the problem when I have it set up. I don't have a character to play, or at least a good one to make it worth the value of challenging with Mickey. But you can also do that with a Jafar. And also if you have the Mickey on 2, a crab on 3, and you can challenge into something and get that Jafar out on turn 3, then you're cooking, right? You're beating them on the ramp. But I don't know. It's Christmas Dreamland as we are calling it now. It's like the ideal play. I haven't done it myself, but once that Mickey comes out, it's also a good distraction. It's really cool if you can pull it off, but once people see that Mickey, especially Steel players, they're like, okay, that evasive character might be more of a problem, but that Mickey, the unknown of that Mickey is awful. I'm going to hit it with Storm, and it gets it out of their hand for me, but a lot of times, like, it just disrupts everything I'm trying to do with it anyway. So it never really feels good to play on 2 unless I'm confident that he's going to last a turn or 2, and I have the opportunity to challenge into something and get value out of it.
Yeah, it's one of those cards. It's like a Calhoun, right? Like, it just, unless they have an answer for it, it's just going to shut down their ability to quest or turn anything sideways at all.
Yep.
Just because, like, you can't afford the threat that it brings. But yeah, the Jafar wheel is a fun one. I haven't played it as much. I have tried Carson's Princess deck. Kirsten brought that up.
That's the next one I want to build. I keep putting off building it because I'm tired of moving my Rapunzels from one deck to another and just I'm re-sleeving all the time, and I'm tired of it. I'm just like, I need to settle on a deck and just play that deck and modify it here and there. But that Princess deck looks like so much fun. Did you have any success with it?
Yeah, I mean, it's not bad. It's like a more aggro list. It just kind of, it takes advantage of the same things that Amber Steel does. It sings Whole New World. It plays Aerial. I love that it uses like all of the shifts. It's got Cindy on 1, Cindy on 2, Mulan on 1, Queen on 1, and then the Shift Queen that shifts on 2, the Shift Mulan that shifts on 2, the Shift Cinderella that shifts for 5,
Shift Aerial too.
the Shift Aerial that shifts for 4. So, it's got a lot of very interesting shift targets, which is really, really fun. And the Queen Sensor Core, I think, is still pretty decent, especially as a draw engine as well. I tested into some the like degenerate bend to my will lists, and it was like I was able to get pretty high up there, and then I had like 3 Queen Sensor Cores on board, and they played the bend to my will, but I had like 7 or 8 ink because it was later in the game, and I just ended up drawing like 3 cards off all of my Queen Sensor Cores, and then just playing all 3 of my like 1-drops and just like forcing them to answer not one but like multiple cards, and only one of them needs to stick for all of the Sensor Cores to trigger. So it became a pretty strong like engine, which is really nice. But again, I think it falls back into that category of like probably even more so than Amber Steel Song, in that most of the characters will be easy targets for not just Ruby but also Steel probably. And so it's rough. The same goes with any of these aggro decks, right? Like every one of these aggressive lists that you're talking about still just gets shut down early by Bell and or Scrooge. Even multiple daisies can be dealt with something like a Scrooge, pretty well timed Scrooge. So yeah, I guess a couple quick other things that we'll discuss that honestly I'd love to hear your guys' opinions, the audience opinions on it in the comments. I know Kirsten doesn't play these lists really, Brad only plays against them and probably disassociates and wishes he was in Epcot instead. But Sapphire Steel, which one is the best? We've sort of got 3 versions here: the curve, the sort of mid-range, or the free items. The curve generally tends to have Smee, Alice, Pluto, cards like that. The mid-range generally has the Bell combo, the ramp on 2 into Scrooge, Hiram, both Tammys, and a dime. The free items generally goes more with the Maurice's Workshop, the Aussies, and a ton of extra items in it.
Yeah.
And probably 3 dimes, 4 dimes, right? So which one is the best? I like the curve decks. I tried to play that. I know Kirsten played a Sapphire Steel curve deck. I don't know if she'd want to try and high roll for some Bell and items on turn 1 this set, but
maybe not. We'll see.
It was fun, and I don't know that it was any better or worse than the mid-range version, which is the one I played this time. To be fair, the curve version kind of got stomped by Kirsten, but as I said before, we kind of flip-flopped. She was playing a much more control-based Amber Steel with the Troubadours and the I don't think she was playing Ursula Vanessa, but the pennies and it was more attacking me than necessarily playing like 5 daisies in a row, and it did really well. And then I switched to the more mid-range version, and she kind of switched to a more aggro version, which I was able to eat things like the Lilo a little easier, as opposed to cards like Troubadour.
You didn't play the Lilo.
Well, you didn't get to play them, right? But you also didn't have Troubadour.
I don't think they made it. I didn't think it made a difference.
Fair.
We'll test it out. We'll test some
more. But then there's the free items version, which I think we all kind of agree is the most fun, but probably not the greatest.
You want to go to time every game, right?
Yeah. Well, and just you're high rolling for that Aussie and stuff is a very, very easy card to remove, the Oswald. And I think I said the last podcast, I had 4 Oswalds on the board and hit 1 out of 4 items.
That's so gross.
And then there's like 24 items in my list too. It is ridiculous.
In the items deck, this is a question I brought up on the meta report. In the items deck, do you prefer Ozzy or the Queen? I guess after that example, you probably don't prefer Ozzy anymore, right? But the Queen gives you choices.
The Queen would be better, I think, because it's inkable and it is a 3/3, and it it gives you choices. You get to see 4 cards, and they go back to the bottom, right? So you're filtering.
Yep.
I haven't tried it with the Queen. That would definitely be much nicer. I'm not a fan of like the Maurice's Workshop. I feel like that does a lot less in the earlier game to try and control the board, and it tries to high roll getting to that win condition faster, which I think generally the best way that sort of deck is played is by just chill out, let it come to you, just take care of the board over and over again, and then eventually, oh look, 1 2 3 4 5 20, I win. What do you know? I finally have the chance.
Here's a question for that deck specifically. I talked to a guy. He used to play in our league at game night for a few sets, at least. Big into item decks. I ran into him the other night and I told him, hey, you want to come back to Lorcana? Because items are literally the top deck in the game right now. And his response was, does it run aerial? And I said, no, and I don't, not really. I don't. And then I didn't have a reason why. So I want to propose to you, why with an aerial who quests for 5 when you have more items than somebody on the board, why aren't decks running 1 or 2 of those for
that aerial? Oh,
because there's so many other decks that run items that
or
kind of hard
either aerial. Let's do that option, because the other one, that one I can get out, because that one's very reliant on you playing all the items in like one turn
and like keeping
stuff,
them
right?
too. Because that's the thing. A lot of times with these item decks, you're popping them, you're getting them back,
exactly,
discarding them. Like
the 6 cost has ward and has no way to remove her unless she's exerted or be prepared, right? So I don't know. I feel like that's a card that I would think should be in these decks, but all the pros are like, no, we don't need her.
They're both greedy. Ultimately, They're both more. I don't want to say win more because they don't come out when you're already winning, but they do help you win the game more, which you arguably don't need. The ever since Dime and Tamatoa existed, the win condition was always sort of there. It was just a matter of getting to that win condition. And so I think both of them could work, right? Like I think they'd both be a way to make your deck a little greedier than another deck and to potentially have you win maybe even like a mirror match like a little quicker. The item aerial, the ward item aerial, I should say, big aerial. Let's go with that one. A big blue aerial.
That's for you, Vince.
Yeah. You're right. A ton of other decks have other items, but I think really you just like you play it and it's still quest for 3, right? Or 2?
Yeah.
2
3.
and then 3 and then 2 more if you have the most items. You always are going to be playing items on your turn. If you think about it, these decks are constantly throwing away items and bringing back items and playing the items again, which almost then makes me think that the other aerial is actually even better because if I have the aerial down and I quest and then play a popsicle and ready her and quest again and throw away the popsicle with the Hiram and then play a Tamatoa and get 2 popsicles back and then play a popsicle and then ready her, you should know of all people, Kirsten, how many times have you gone and got a sandwich while I was playing 5,000 popsicles and filtering through all my cards and stuff. So recursion is huge and items are the ones being recurred. So yeah, that would be awesome. The problem is aerial quest for 1, right? So you're really just getting like, it's essentially saying like 1 lore per item, which isn't nothing, but yeah. And then you have to ask about like, okay, well, what about like, actually, let me ask the question. What about the gold? Is it gold medal, right? Is that a
gold medallion?
Gold medallion, is that a 1 or a 2 drop item?
2 drop.
Ooh.
Pretty sure. I'll double check.
Gold, not gold coin. Medal of Heroes, that's what it's called.
Oh.
It's a 2 drop.
My bad.
2 banishes item. Chosen character gets +2 lore this turn. So, aerial on 4, this on 5 with a popsicle. This is a much later gameplay. So now you're adding these items in that
that aren't already in there.
Yeah. The other one was the Eye of the Fates, right? That's a 4 cost item.
That's
right?
a 4 cost.
Or a 3 cost item. 4.
4. Yeah.
Yeah.
That one
so
I'm pretty certain on. Yeah.
These are just cards that like the answer to when would these cards help me the most or at all really is like late game when I'm ready to like do my thing where I win the game, right?
Mhm.
And do you need cards for that moment in the game, or do you already really have cards for that moment in the game? You have the Dime and the Tamatoa. So I think that's the reason why those cards don't get played necessarily as much.
Sure.
The aerial, though, I could see because of the ward, but then you have to talk about uninkable counts. And then turn 6 is generally a Tamatoa turn. But, maybe play her on turn 7 with her and one of the items, Tamatoa, no, because then you can't even play her and turn the Dime same turn unless you've got some sort of ramp already on play. So yeah, it's an interesting card.
Yeah. I just wanted to ask, when he asked me that, I was like, yeah, that's kind of fascinating that this aerial with ward, it quests for essentially 5 in an item deck that's, I've seen Zan's board the last couple of weeks of having 20 items on board. Like, there's no way she's never questing for 5. And so I didn't have a good answer why she's not in there other than like, I guess they don't need her, so thought I'd throw that out there.
Well, the last thing I put on here was which Ruby Sapphire is best. And again, I want to pose this question to you guys in the chat, not in the chat, the comments, the audience, the viewers, wherever it is down below. Let us know what your opinions are on this. Which Ruby Sapphire is best? I think there's mainly 2 versions. The coil version, heavy on Sisus, Medusas, Brawls, things like that to really capitalize on it. And then the more manor focused or the DKP list, Protect the Manor, I think it's often called, with a lot more heavy on the actions, with the Maui Half Shark, the Be Prepareds, and the Manors. I guess technically, if we're asking Ed and DKP which one is the best, the answer is clearly DKP's because it won today. But Ed put up a great fight there, and so I honestly don't know. This is one I need to test more for sure.
After that first, I haven't played Ruby Sapphire since set 3. And after that first game with Ed and DKP, I said in the chat, I said, Ed's making me want to actually play this. So I'm going to pick Coil. If I had to pick one right now, I'd pick Coil. I was like, Ed's making me want to go play Ruby Sapphire. But then I got a plead from Harlan Sweet telling me to please not to not add to the count of people who are playing this deck because it's just oppressive. So I don't know that I will hold up my end of the bargain. I didn't agree to anything, but it's on my mind that I may check it out. So apologies to Harlan.
Well, we are how many subscribers do we have now on our
286 on YouTube.
286.
287.
287. All right.
Yeah.
Well, we're over halfway there to 500 subscribers. If we can get to 500 subscribers on YouTube, Kirsten has promised that she will play Ruby Sapphire in a set championships. Which you might say, but Andy, you only needed 200 subscribers for you to play Ruby Steel, and to that I'd say, well, she is more bougie
Literally
than me.
never
She costs
plays.
more.
Yeah.
So
I also literally never play Ruby Sapphire. I don't think I've ever voluntarily picked up the deck and said, I want to play this.
We need to make it clear to people who might be listening for the first time. Being told that somebody's going to play Ruby Sapphire in a set championship's not like a go win kind of thing. Kirsten does not want to play this deck. She stays away from Sapphire as much as possible. So in a way, it's kind of like a fake punishment. Yeah, but with a successful deck. And it would be entertaining to see a player who is very good at the game, play one of the best decks and navigate her way through that. So that's what the whole, if we get this far, Kirsten will do this deal is about.
Because it's honestly really funny. The couple times that I have picked up that deck and tried to play it, I am so bad. It's like I don't know what I'm doing. You wouldn't know that I've ever played this game before in my life. I'm like, I don't know how to play this at all.
So if you had to play it though, when we hit 500 subscribers before the month of May, March, April, May, so you guys have about a month and a week. All right. So get on it. Which are you leaning towards? The Coil version, which they both do kind of the same thing. Ramp, fill up their hand. Coil's going to ink, lower their strength, hit them with the Sisu. The Manor version is going to ramp up, hit them with the B prep, and then manor them. Just open up a whole neighborhood on the board.
Yeah, free real estate. Good manners. That's what I would call it.
Which one has less ramp?
They
both have ramp.
They're both ramping
less
up too.
ramp.
Well, I guess Ed's didn't have how far I'll go. I don't think there was one that was surprisingly that he didn't have. I think it was that.
Yeah.
Do you think that combo of okay, maybe you play an item and that reduces it, and then you can Sisu, and then you have Medusa? That sounds more like Ruby Amethyst style-ish.
Yeah.
Almost. It's along the same lines as that type of play style, whereas
it's Ruby Amethyst with ramp, basically, because you get to the mid range high end of the deck with Ruby, and then you're just saying you played that card, okay, well I'm going to take it off the board.
No
Medusas, Tremades,
dragons. I'd probably go with that one.
You got your dragons. I know you love that dragon.
Yeah, I'd probably go with that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
If I had to choose one voluntarily.
Well, it is very fitting that you would choose the Sapphire Coil version.
I know.
The segue is perfect. Who's doing it?
I can do it.
Okay.
Unless Kirsten wants to. No, she did the mailbag. I'll take villain of the week. Apologies to Gantu. Our villain of the week is from Set 7, Arcasia's Island, the Sapphire Coil, to nobody's surprise. A 2-cost inkable item in Sapphire with the ability Brilliant Shine. During your turn, whenever a card is put into your inkwell, you may give chosen character -2 strength or -2 strength this turn. Art by Francesco Colucci. And we've pretty much, been beating around the bush all night about this card. These decks, these Sapphire Ruby, Sapphire Steel decks, both have the ability to ink multiple times per turn. Especially Sapphire Ruby, this card is more prevalent in, if the only deck that it's prevalent in, where whenever you ink once or twice, you choose a character, you minus their strength down into Brawlable range or Medusa range or Sisu range or whatever kind of removal you have, and those characters are gone. They once were untouchable, and then suddenly, we even saw it today on one of the streams, somebody Sapphire coiled a goat who should not be brawlable, and the goat got brawled in a game, right? Yep. So this is one of the 2 cards, I think 2 mostly, the top 2 cards that people freaked out about when the set was revealed, that this item was broken. We've talked about it a little bit here on the podcast. It hasn't been villain of the week, but it's certainly showing its colors now. And we saw on the main stage when the Ravensburger revealed some cards and talked about it, the developers are happy with this card. The way that it sits, we don't see Ice Block anymore. So many people hated Ice Block. But this is a card that's essentially replaced it. It's inkable, and it just opens the door for so much more removal that it's got people just not happy with these Sapphire decks. What do you guys think about it?
I'd rather this than a bell.
Yeah. Well, how about this comes out and then they ink for turn, and then Belle hits you for less damage that she would have taken without this there. Like it's just so much that
so much.
I don't know, man. I haven't been victim to it yet, but I know the repercussions of what it can do. But it's a lot.
I feel like it's definitely very much similar to the Bucky era, where like that's all we were seeing, all Bucky decks.
Yeah.
All we're seeing is all Bell decks.
One of the things
Sapphire.
Sure. Yeah, one of the things people have said about it, I think Justin was one of the first people I saw commenting on it here on the local Discord, that eventually decks like Ruby Sapphire, and even DKP said it today in one of the after match chats, just follow-ups or whatever. Like it's at a certain point, like you just you don't worry about the ink anymore. There's a point where this doesn't matter. It's the early game a lot of times where this opens up the 3-cost Sisu before the 8-cost Sisu, or like there'll be times when you want some removal and you have Sapphire on board where you do ink for that damage reduction. But and before the meta was developed, a lot of people were saying, well, at some point Ruby Sapphire just doesn't want to ink anymore, right? And it's not that big of a deal. But up until that point, I still find this card to be like, well, anything I put on the board has potential to be removed because Ruby Sapphire has all the tools to do it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think what it has to be, like, Ruby Sapphire is always going to be inking as long as they can be inking. And so part of it, I think part of this is enabled with. So did either of them play the medium Tammy, Happy Tammy, for the recursion?
The match
I think
today?
Ed played that, right? In the match today?
Ed definitely did. I thought
Tammy?
they both did.
Okay.
Maybe not.
But basically, you need your draw engine to continue going. You'll constantly, even previous sets, when I'm playing against a Ruby Sapphire player, they have a full hand of cards, and they're just digging for all of their answers, and they're just removing every threat that you put down on the board. They're also inking every single turn because they have extras of everything. They have extra brawls, they have extra Hirams, they have extras of these cards they don't need, and they have a huge healthy hand. So I think Sapphire Coil is really good because if you can get that going. If you don't get a Hiram going, if you don't get your ramp, if you don't get a lot of this card draw going, this card becomes a lot worse, right? It becomes a lot less useful because, like you said, you don't need to keep inking. And so if you can't afford to keep inking because you only have 2 or 3 cards in your hand and 2 or 3 of them are the cards you need, right, to win this game, then it becomes very difficult. So, and then you say, okay, well, it's for the early game, but it costs a lot more. And I think it's for this sort of like, you're sort of high rolling to some extent. Like you're saying that if I can get to my game plan, Sapphire Coil is better for my game plan. If I don't get to my game plan, well, Ice Block didn't help me at all. None of this really worked, so it didn't really matter to me. And having the ink ability of the Sapphire Coil is probably more valuable. The Ruby Sapphire is still playing Bell on 1, and then nothing until it ramps to B Prep or Scrooge if it wants to play that or something, depending on how much it needs to control. I still tend to agree with the developers, though. I don't know that this card is as oppressive as it is. If this card didn't exist, I still think Ruby Sapphire would be decent, if not just as good as it is currently with cards like the Ice Block still. I think the recursion of Tamatoa gives a much better draw engine for any Sapphire deck. And I think the Ruby control at the end of the game is just unparalleled. It's unmatched. You're trading away that Ruby control, B-Preps, Medusas, Dragons, Sisus, in exchange for lesser removal in Zeus's and Storms and Strengths, but you get 8 popsicles, basically, is really what you're getting out of it. That's really all you're taking from that sort of steel side, because all of that steel removal that you're also bringing would have just essentially been Ruby removal, which would have been probably better removal anyway. It would have cost a little more, but So Sapphire Coil is a good card. I do want to point out here, though, the flavor text: a single flash of light from the coil on Venturo's leg could blind any foe. And so I just realized, like, the Sapphire Coil is just like a gold thing that's stuck to his sweatpants. Is that what's going on here? And it just he's got like a gold flashlight on his sweatpants.
I guess so. Yeah, all 6 coils are something that are fused to their bodies. The amber coils around the wrist of I think Martin. Shanzi has one on her shoulder, and the amethyst. Martin definitely has the one on his legs for emerald, and then the ruby coil. I can't tell what that
armband.
Oh, that's an armband. Yeah, it looks like it's Venturo climbing on something. Yeah. What's interesting, though, it's a good segue to the artist showcase. The same artist on all 6 of the coils. Venturo. Francesco Colucci did all 6 of the coils, and then the Prince Naveen from set 5, or was that set 6? The shift target.
Nice.
I'm sorry, not the free song. No, the 5-cost bodyguard. Yep.
Bodyguard.
In set 6. Yep. But interesting lore. It's one of the fewer cards in the game that are straight like Lorcana related and not from a Disney property, right? So I love seeing things like that.
Venturo has 2
outfits.
outfits.
Not a Disney character. They're the Lumineers.
Yep. Exactly.
He has 2 outfits too. In the Ruby Coil outfit, he's wearing his red shirt. Although maybe he's wearing a red shirt.
I wonder if he just took his jacket off, because he's wearing a red shirt under the jacket.
Yeah.
I guess rock climbing, you kind of get hot and sweaty, so he's probably got the hoodie unzipped and like tied around his waist, like we would do back in the day.
And I wonder, because when you look up the artist in Dreamborn, there must be a tag missing. Yeah, Shanzi's wearing the other coil. They each have 2 coils on. She's wearing the steel one on her right arm. So yeah, all 3 have 2 coils on them.
Was it one leg, one arm coil?
No, because Shanzi has one on her arm and one on her shoulder.
Okay.
I hope I'm saying her name correct, but
I think it's Shanzi. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well,
but yeah, that's our villain of the week. Do you guys have any final thoughts?
I am so tired of Sapphire already, and it's not
Yeah.
even been that long, and that's all we're gonna see.
Well, hopefully in the weeks to come, people will be finding ways to get around it. People are still going to play it because they are, as much as we complain about them, they are fun decks and successful decks, right? So until there is a consistent solution, we're going to continue to see it, and hopefully we'll have fun along the way in trying to break that meta. So
I agree.
Yeah. So let us know your thoughts on Villain of the Week. We hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you're joining us on audio, please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen.
And if you're joining us on YouTube, which if you're not, you totally should. We got a lot of fun happening over here. So please be sure to give us a like, subscribe, and don't forget to hit the bell icon, notified of our next episode.
We understand your time is valuable, so we appreciate you spending a little bit of it with us. If you would like to follow along as we plot our devious plans, consider following us on our socials. We're on Instagram, Blue Sky, and the platform formerly known as Twitter @Rules of Villainy. We also have a growing community on Discord in which you can join us with the link below. You want to see us out, Kirsten?
All right. Until next week, stay safe, fellow villains. Be wary of wannabe heroes who want to disrupt your villainous plans. And as always, remember the rules of villainy.